there's a Republican representative from Kentucky. His name's Thomas Massey. He's a very
Hmm.
libertarian Republican. He's basically just a student of Ron Paul. He disagreed with the Republican majority and the president on something, and now everyone's saying we're going to primary him out. It's amazing how the parties have gotten so compact in their power and their leadership that if you don't agree with the leadership, you're not a part of the party.
I am Danny Helmer, and this is the Danny Helmer Show. So, Noah, you said you're from Cortland, New York, right?
Yeah, I want to say real quick, thanks for having me on the show, Danny. I
Mm-hmm.
really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm from
Thank you.
Cortland, New York. It's a relatively small town in central New York. Population is about 17,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's located in the creatively named Cortland County. I forget what number our House district is, but our current representative is Josh Riley, and he's a Democrat.
Okay, that's good. Do you guys have a mayor, or do you
We
have
we
like
do have
another?
a Well, when I say I live in Cortland, I don't actually live in the city of Cortland.
Mm-hmm.
I live in the town of Cortlandville, but we all go to Cortland's school district. But the mayor
Mm-hmm.
over in Cortland, his name's Scott Steve. My friend is actually his neighbor, and he seems like an all right dude.
So you know, like all your local government people and
Yeah,
like your
so
senators and.
I don't live in the city, but over in the town we have a town supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
And I know our town supervisor. Actually, our town supervisor election just happened. It's a 2025 election, and I was quite
Mm-hmm.
miffed because the candidate I didn't want to win, I wanted to win, lost by 30 votes. I
He
was
votes.
30 votes. It was like 180 to 150 or something like that.
Oh, so it's like a
No, no,
tiny
no,
election,
no.
but
It was more votes than that. It was like, but the point is this 30 vote difference.
yeah, I think people should. Like, you don't see people vote in local election stuff like that.
No,
Uh, like county
no,
clerks,
and
mayors, even.
it's a real shame, honestly, because I feel like your local office officials, your local mayor, town supervisor, city board, whatever, they have a lot more impact on your immediate life than I think people
Hmm.
realize. Like over in the city, they just finished a 7-year long project to restore Main Street, and that took a lot of money, a lot of time,
Hmm.
and I think it was well spent money. Some people I know disagree. But, that's not something a senator, a representative, a president, a governor does. That's something your local officials do. And that's still our tax dollars. So I think that people should really care a lot more about local
Yeah,
elections for
I
those
think
reasons.
people. Yeah, I think people mistake how much influence local offices like that have,
Definitely.
and even more than like a senator or a house, because house people in the house just go to DC and whatever, but these people actually focus on a concentrated landmass like your area, your county. So they do, like you said, they could do infrastructure stuff, roadworks, economics too, and
No,
million
yeah.
dollar contract things. Yeah, they have so much influence on your day to day life. Yeah.
Well, ultimately, our local representatives live here. Like I said, my friend
Mm-hmm.
is the mayor of the city of Cortland, right? Literally, he can
Mm-hmm.
see his house from his front door. He actually
Mm-hmm.
once told me, somewhat jokingly, that all the mayor ever does is mow his lawn. But um,
Mm-hmm.
those people, they're one of us, They're here with us, they live here
Yeah.
with us. I don't believe our representative even lives in our district. I mean, they don't have to
Really.
by the law, they just
Yeah.
have to live in the state. But, even if he does, he spends most of his time in DC. So do our senators. Um, they're not connected to us
Yeah.
ultimately.
And you, so do you guys have nonpartisan elections? Because some of these elections, like people have to forcefully be nonpartisan and not be tied to a party. Do you
No,
have that at all?
we have our elections are partisan, but I think, and this is one of the beauty of local elections I find, your party doesn't matter that much in a
Mm-hmm.
local election. Where like on a national level and even on a larger statewide level, people who just go to the voting booth, most of them they just vote D down the ballot or R down the
Yeah.
ballot. They don't think about the candidates themselves. Where ultimately in our local elections, it really matters um, on the person themselves. Next to Cortland is the village of Homer. It's a very nice place. You know, a lot of people that work in Cortland live in Homer and vice versa. If you look at their elections, if you look at like the numbers from all their national elections and the leanings of the village, it's really democratic. They in 2025 they also had their mayoral election, and their Republican mayor ran unopposed because ultimately it's the candidate themselves. It's not the party they're affiliated with. I think there's a beauty to that, and I think that's something we've forgotten on the national stage. It used to be a lot more um, common to see voters vote different parties for different offices at the national level. You know, you'd say vote for a Democratic senator, but a Republican president. We don't see a lot of that today.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we see clearly in local elections. And I wonder if there's a future where we can capture that again on the national stage.
Yeah. It's gonna be hard for that to happen. But I think everyone wishes for something like that. I wish for it, and you wish for it. Because when it comes to the national stuff, like all the beef going on, it's just all polarizing. So
Hmm.
nobody even tries to be bipartisan. And I think when it comes to local politics, a lot of people are bipartisan and work together because we all have the common goal of helping our local community. And I think national politics, we all do have a common goal is to
Hmm.
make every American citizen have the equal opportunity for the American dream, and everyone can essentially have a great, stable life and have a family, have the opportunity to have a family, and get a stable job. I think, yeah, we definitely need to see that when it comes to national politics. Yeah,
There's a great quote I like to refer to. 1960 first presidential debate. In his opening statement, Richard Nixon says, the difference, I'm paraphrasing, but he says the differences between me and Senator Kennedy are not our goals for this nation, but only the means of how to reach those goals.
hmm
And I think today in our polarization, especially on the national stage, we've forgotten that. And ultimately, I think we still have the same goals. I think Republicans and Democrats still have the same goals. They see different ways in reaching them.
hmm
But we've become so partisan, so turned against each other. Politicians have turned their constituents into attack dogs against other politicians.
yeah.
It's really sad, I think,
And
today.
what do you think we can do to fix that? How do you think we can reconcile together and be more bipartisan? Do you think we need what do you think affects that? What makes us so polarizing? What do you think?
It's a that's a very complicated question. Um,
Yeah.
I think in the modern age of politics, more than ever, parties and politicians and voters are so based around these cult of personalities around certain figures.
Yeah.
And we all know who those figures are on both sides. They both exist. And so much of the party's power becomes stuck in those figures, and those figures in wanting to appease and somewhat, and I think both sides are guilty of this, radicalize their voters and their base. They become so aggressive themselves. You know,
hmm
I'm not going to sit here and say Ronald Reagan was the most bipartisan guy, but for 8 years he was stuck with the Democratic House under Speaker Tip O'Neill, and you know. Tip O'Neill once said, I agreed with Jimmy Carter on 100% more things than I did. I'm paraphrasing again, but I agreed with Jimmy Carter way more than I did with Ronald Reagan. But I couldn't work with Jimmy Carter. I could work with Ronald Reagan. I think
Yeah.
there's definitely an art that's been lost today in our politics and our system that we once had. Um, I think ultimately it comes down to when those bigwigs in Washington are going to wake up their eyes and realize that your voters and my voters are both hurting. Now let's fix it for both of them.
Yeah. And I think one of the factors that play onto that is social media, because now people could just openly attack people. Like if you think about the 1880s, they had or 1900s political cartoons,
Hmm.
and if you compare political cartoons to how people attack people now and social media, it's way worse. Political cartoons aren't even that bad, I would say,
They're not.
but yeah, it's kind of funny. But when it comes to social media posts, like people mocking deaths of other when political figures die, that does happen, and they can't do it without repercussion because they just go under a hidden name.
Hmm.
And there's also like both sides do it. I think both sides mock each other and they go
Both
under a
sides
hidden
are,
name. So you can,
yeah.
yeah, they
Well,
go under like hidden names on social media, and you don't even know who they are. Just a random dude making meme posts about the other side. It just happens. Yeah.
and a lot of those people, if you ever bring it up with them and tell them what you're saying is messed up and not okay and it's just immoral, they'll point to, say, the First Amendment or whatever. And it's like, yeah,
Hmm.
you have a legal right to do this, but do you have a moral right to act like this? I think part of the negative impacts of social media, and I do think there are a lot of positives, but one of the negative ones is we've seen to somehow lost a piece of our basic morality that used to be there. And
Hmm.
have you heard the phrase keyboard courage before?
No, I have not.
No, it's something they talk about in like media, internet safety classes here in New York, but it's the idea that people, when they're behind the screen, when they're not themselves,
Hmm.
when they're on their computers, they will say a lot worse because they know there's no repercussions that can really happen to them.
Yeah.
And even if you look at the repercussions that we really have now, yeah, I guess social media owners or whoever could block or ban someone, but they just can make a new account. It doesn't matter. There's,
Yeah. Yeah, and there would be like community
Mhm.
backlash, like this individual did this. That's why people didn't do stuff like that in like 1880s,
Yeah,
like mocking James A. Garfield's death or something. You don't do that openly because yeah, you're gonna face repercussions. But now we have the internet, and you can just do it without repercussions from your community. Yeah, I think it's a terrible thing, and
it is a terrible thing.
it's really hard to even solve that problem. I think it seems like we have to really just deal with it. I don't know.
No, it is a real shame. And I know, for instance, say you and we don't see eye to eye on everything. I know that for a fact, but
Hmm.
I am sure that we would have the ability to sit down and have a calm, honest, and good conversation about our differences. And that's something a lot of people these days, and it is partially the individual's fault, but I also think it's society's fault by collectively deciding this is okay. Because there's always going to be individuals that take things too far and take things in the wrong direction. And these people these days, they just don't have a strong moral center on a lot of when it comes to talking about these things. For
Yeah.
instance, the other night I was just on YouTube, whatever, watching random stuff, and then this live stream popped out. And I don't want to say names because I don't want to send angry people at these content creators. But it was this lady, probably in her mid to early 20s, and she basically was just live streaming with a phone number on the screen and said, I don't support Donald Trump. Why do you? Was telling people to call in to tell her why they supported Donald Trump. And I'll be honest, I don't support Donald Trump, but I definitely did not agree with her and how she was handling this issue because she was having people calling in who were just trying to have a conversation and just talk through the issues. And she was not listening to them. She was shaking her head. She was shutting down. She was swearing at people. This very
Mm-hmm.
nice, kind old man who said he was in his mid 70s, who I don't know how he got on YouTube. He called in and he was trying to explain himself, and the way he was explaining himself to her sounded stupid and didn't sound accurate, and she just started swearing at him and calling him stupid, and eventually she said, "I can't take this anymore," and hung up on him. And sure, she has a legal right to do that, but what happened to our moral dignity and our moral right, especially to treat an old man like that? That
Yeah.
one really got me. She was talking to When she was talking to younger people who were her age as well, I didn't really care. Whatever. Because some of them were quite rude to her as well. This old man was not rude. He just believed in what he believed in, and he was trying to explain himself. So I'm sitting there, and that's the moment, because I was getting really sick of this lady by this point. But after that, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. So I just stopped watching it. I moved
Mm-hmm.
on. I was just to be frank, I kind of ruined my night. I just kept thinking about it, and I was like, what
Yeah.
happened that we would treat anybody like that lady just treated that old man?
Mm-hmm.
It's inconceivable to me.
I think one way that people become rude like that and just completely immoral, I think it has to do with the political figures we elect today that have a, a attacking tone to them. And if you put these guys on the national stage, you put them if they have so many followers on social media and they start dissing the other side, then people are going to be like, "Oh, so they can do it, I could do it too." But that's not
Hmm.
at all how it works.
Hmm.
I think, as you know, I started a nonprofit organization,
Yes.
Take Your Stand.
Yes.
That's what I'm really trying to solve. Is I want to give people a stage so they can calmly talk about the problems, how they want to fix it, like politicians. Even eventually go up to debates, which is really what we're trying to do. Just get people to debate honestly and calmly, just like the 1960 debates. I think we need to have more of those 1960 debates. We haven't seen those.
Definitely.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, I don't like how people act nowadays on politics, and I think there's going to be some. I wouldn't say a breaking point, but it's going to definitely get to even more polarizing. It's just going to be bad for all of us. Even those who don't even partake in politics, it's going to affect them. Yeah.
It is. It is a worrisome figure of existence of what our lives today mean when it comes to politics, when it comes to our beliefs. It's not just politics. People will get over this like religion, over basic morals, over acceptance. And of course, a lot of those things tie back into politics because politics legislate those things. But it's like, I think this is something both sides are guilty of because I think there's a lot of people on the farther ends of the right that can't accept a lot of people on the left, and there's a lot of people on the left who can accept people on the right. And it's just like I wish some of these people would just open their eyes, pick up pick up the Constitution and read the wordage of the First Amendment. Because I think we have a moral duty to, even if we don't like these things, even if we don't understand these things, if it's not having a negative impact on society as a whole, if it's not hurting people,
Hmm.
why are we so against these things? And I guess we can be against them, but why do we have to hate them? Why do we have to say this is not okay? America was built upon acceptance
Hmm.
ultimately. And I think this is something both sides are very guilty of, is the day that acceptance is waning. I find that,
What do you got?
yeah, you continue.
No, you were talking. What do you got? I insist.
Uh, I find that actually a lot of people of my generation, of my age, maybe that's just the people I'm lucky enough to talk to. I find that a lot of them are more accepting of people on both sides, of beliefs on both sides. So that gives me some hope that sometime in the next coming decades there'll be some shift, some change of our
Mm-hmm.
morality around each other. I actually just watched a great video about this, and I wish I can tell you who made it. But it was they were just discussing about how if you look back in time, if you look at the 60s and 70s, if you look at the counterculture of that time, of what young people were doing, it was so against the kind of whitey tighty, good, basic nuclear kind of life that we had come to expect in the 50s and early 60s and even the late 40s in America. And I feel like that idea of counterculture has gone so far that the counterculture of my generation and even kind of your generation, I assume, because we're basically the same generation,
Yeah.
that it's almost gone the other way, to where the counterculture of today is to say things like, I just want to have a normal life. I just want a secure job, a nice little nuclear family. I don't want problems. I just want to be a nice, quiet person, not be into all these crazy things. And I'm not saying that old counterculture is necessarily bad because I think there's a lot of things that are in that were good. And I think there could be some things in what we see from this idea of new counterculture that could be bad. We can't know what the effects are yet, but
Yeah.
if it goes back that way, I don't want to get all hopeful or whatnot, but maybe we can see like an alignment back to the American life and values almost of the 50s kind of, but in modern America.
Mm-hmm. And I think one way we can bridge the gap of division is to simply have um, politicians with good morals. Like I think we both want this as politicians with good morals. That the start we could just get them on a debate stage and let them talk about their problems out loud to show us that this is what we should be doing with our fellow Americans in our community. And if you see one politician on the debate stage roast the other one on the debate stage and they just go back and forth, it looks like we're like, oh, we should do. There's people out there that actually like, oh, so we should do this too, and they go out in their local community and just be rude to people. Even people with like a Trump 2024 hat back, like when Trump was running in 2024, just completely disrespect people with that hat on, and I don't think anybody should ever do that. Even if you have like a Harris 2024 hat too back in the day, you shouldn't be harassed for that or whatever. I think it's unacceptable.
It's definitely
Yeah,
unacceptable.
yeah, it's just a really hard thing to solve, especially how I think it's really, especially with the gerrymandering going on too. Both sides do it. I see both sides doing it. I live in Illinois.
Hmm.
I believe it also is gerrymandered here. I don't think
I
no
live
one.
in New
It's been
York.
on. This has been going on for so long. You live in New York?
I live
Do
in
you
New
have
York, and
gerrymandering too?
we're gerrymandered. There was just a New York Supreme Court case which gave the Democrats another seat based off some case that said a seat down in the only seat in New York City that was a Republican seat disadvantaged Latino voters, and it flipped it. The map got changed. Now it's a Democratic seat, and maybe that's true. I don't have the time or legal expertise to look into it enough, but um, a lot of Democrats justify what they're doing right now as, oh, we need to save democracy and we need to stop the Republicans from keeping the House by bad measures, which they're definitely doing. I don't want people to think I'm taking the Republican side here with this because the Republicans are very, very guilty right now of trying to gerrymander their way to winning an election, which should, under fair circumstances, just by the tries of the time, and by the polls we have now, should be a Democratic victory in the House. based
Mm-hmm.
off the current pollage we have. But I don't accept the Democrats saying, "Oh, we have to do this to protect, to keep things the way they're supposed to be." That's like, could you imagine? And I know this is an extreme example, but could you imagine after World War II, the Allied powers were like, "To fix things, we have to kill the Germans." That's not
Yeah.
acceptable, and that's a very extreme scenario, but almost I find that there's some relation there that, okay, yeah, the Republicans are doing something bad. How do we justify that by doing something else bad? Two wrongs don't make a right. I
Yeah.
think we've all known that. I actually, I was just talking about this today because I was saying to some people at school that I was going to be on your podcast today, and they didn't know who you were. Maybe you'll have some new viewers coming in soon. But
Mm-hmm.
I was saying to them that I was doing the podcast with you, and they said, "Oh, what's the podcast about?" And I said, "Well, politics and whatnot." And they started talking about a presentation I gave in English last year that was about gerrymandering. And they said, and that presentation took 40 minutes. It took 32, I counted. But everybody else gave like a 3 to 5 minute presentation. I have a half an hour presentation on gerrymandering because it's an issue I'm very passionate about, and that really upsets me to my core. And so I think it's something I'm pretty well versed in. And for so long, both sides have been guilty of it. There's not one state. There's not one state that I think is a fair, completely fair state. And it is really a shame that the House especially has become so polarized, has become so voting with your party line that the only way to get legislation passed through the House is to have a majority in the House. It didn't used to be this way. Politicians used to break rank all the time. I mean, if you look back to say the 1920s, which really is not all that long ago, it's 100 years ago, you had the extremely conservatives in the Republican Party, and you had a socialists like Robert La Follette. It didn't used to be so everyone was cut and dry down the aisle. I mean, you could even look back to say 2012. I don't believe there's space in the Republican Party today for someone like Mitt Romney. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder what exactly has happened because you can just point fingers and say, "Oh, it's Trump's fault," whatever, but I don't think it's that simple. I don't. So I really wonder what has happened that our politics, especially in the legislative branch, has become so based off the numbers and the party you are. Like the most powerful people in Congress now are the Speaker of the House and the Senate Majority Leader. And it's not that they weren't incredibly powerful before. It's not that they shouldn't be incredibly powerful, but they decide how their party votes on everything. There's very few people on either side who break ranks. Very few.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can debate whether the Affordable Care Act is a good thing. I don't know if you've been following this, but the Democrats have been pushing for the vote to continue
Yeah.
the subsidies of the Affordable Care Act. Four Republicans broke rank. Four Republicans. I'm not sure of the exact number of Republicans in the House, but it's a lot. Four out of 200 something. It didn't used to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way, and frankly, it shouldn't have to be this way, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think uh when I think there might be a little bit of a how do I word, for lack of a better term, like a scared type of thing. So I'll explain it. A Republican, I would say a Republican disagrees with a majority of other Republicans. They're scared that maybe if they vote against their side, or if they put if they put their own sense of judgment over the establishment of the Republicans, then they might get like voted out or lose endorsements. Just say I'm a
Hmm.
Republican, I vote against something that a majority of Republicans support, and it feels like, yeah, I probably might get not getting endorsements anymore. I don't know. I think there might be I think we've seen that with I don't really want to get it political, but And this, I mean, we're already political, so why not? Marjorie Taylor Greene, she disagreed with the president on something, and now completely just devastated by the
She
party.
just has to step
Yeah.
out. There's no place for her in the party. They've essentially forced her out.
hmm
Another
I think
example,
that might, yeah.
there's a Republican representative from Kentucky. His name's Thomas Massey. He's a very
hmm
libertarian Republican. He's basically just a student of Ron Paul. Um, he disagreed with the Republican majority and the president on something, and now everyone's saying we're going to primary him out. We're going to primary him out of his seat. It's just, it's amazing how the parties have gotten so compact in their power and their leadership that if you don't agree with the leadership, you're not a part of the party.
hmm That's just that did not happen. I've
Mm-mm.
never seen that before in all of history of parties in the United States. Um, I'm not. I'm not. Well, I don't know if maybe that happened in the 1940s. I don't think any of this ever happened before. And that's what I was saying. I think people are scared to be bipartisan. I don't know if it goes on with the Democrats too, but maybe it does. I don't want to assume anything, but it kind of seems a little bit logical that the other side probably does it too. That if you vote against something, then yeah, it was some senator in God, he's like a tall dude, 6'6". I forgot his name.
Fetterman, I
Uh,
think.
yeah, Fetterman. I'm pretty sure he's isn't he? He voted with Republican on some things,
Yeah,
so he seems a little bit.
on the budget, he said, "Hey,
Mhm.
listen, I understand I don't want the subsidies to be left out of the budget, but we also need the government to run. And it's a temporary
Yeah.
budget." And the Democratic establishment, they all got really mad at him. There hasn't been any talk of trying to primary him or kick him out or anything, but still, people should be politicians should be allowed to speak their mind. I mean, even if you look back 60 years, let's go to the 60s or the 70s or even the 80s. Let's look at the Republican Party. You have really conservative Republicans, kind of under the banners of Ronald Reagan and Barry Goldwater and William F. Buckley, but you also have really liberal Republicans like Nelson Rockefeller, George Romney, John Lindsay. There's no existence of that today in either party. You also used to have really conservative Democrats. You had really liberal Democrats. You had the likes of Harry Byrd and Hubert Humphrey in the same party, and you just don't see things like that today.
hmm I feel like you only see that today in states that are
Hmm.
liberal leaning, like Phil Scott, governor of Vermont.
Yes,
He's a
mind you,
Republican,
I love Phil
and
Scott. I wish he was my governor. I think he's a great governor. I also despise our governor here in New York.
no, but I think when it comes to states like that, like the Republicans aren't going to try to out primary Phil Scott, because if they try to do that, it's not going to work because Democrats vote for him. He has both sides voting for him, and I think we need more of that. We need someone who's bipartisan to bridge the gap. And that doesn't mean like you need to give up your beliefs. I just think you need to have a character and to be moral against the other side that you disagree with, and not attack anyone. I think if it's so obvious. Yeah, let's not harass the other side or diss on them on Twitter, but like it's so obvious that like, why are we doing this? I don't know why America has resorted to something like this. I mean, if we show George Washington, Abraham Lincoln this, James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, they're gonna be like, yeah, I don't know why you guys are doing this. It's just completely pointless, and it's just making us more divided.
I think you
Yeah.
could even pull someone like Theodore Roosevelt, who's I
hmm
don't know, I can't remember exactly what he said, but I know he said some really disparaging things about the Democratic Party. I think you could bring him today and he'd be like, what the heck happened? You know?
Yeah.
It is,
Except when he ran against Taft. Except when he ran against Taft, completely. I think there was some
yeah.
disagreement there, but
Oh,
you did not.
yeah.
I mean, even when Teddy Roosevelt was shot, Wilson. I'm pretty sure Wilson and Taft stopped
They stopped
campaigning that
campaigning.
day.
They didn't campaign
Yeah,
anymore.
that's like, oh, dude, I wish we had. That's so awesome. I just find
Hmm.
that
And
so
I don't
amazing.
necessarily mean to point fingers here, but Kamala Harris didn't stop campaigning the day Donald Trump was shot, as far as I know. I could be wrong, but as far as I know, that didn't happen. And I would be incredibly surprised if Donald Trump stopped campaigning because one of his opponents was shot. So there's a, like I said earlier, think that there's just a basic human morality which we all used to as- universally accept as moral truth, despite our religious differences, despite our political differences, that's been somehow left behind now.
Lost in the void. I don't know where it went, but I think again we can get it back. We
Mhm.
just need to work. It's going to take a lot of work though to undo all the polarization that has happened in the last like decade or so. Um, yeah. So, like I said, national debate would civil national debate would definitely open the eyes of people. Like if you put a politician up there that's moral, has good judgment, and he influences people to act in a decent way. Like Jimmy Carter, decent man.
Yes,
Gerald Ford,
incredible,
decent man. These guys were
incredible,
all,
man.
yeah, they were all decent people. Yeah. Um.
Well,
Yeah, we need more politicians like that. It's just so hard to find them.
I don't know if you remember this, but almost 2 years, probably 2 years ago now, on Hannity on Fox News, Governor DeSantis and Governor, crap, what's his name?
Newsom.
Yeah, Newsom. Jeez, I don't know how I
Yeah,
forgot that. But they
fine.
debated each other for no reason on Hannity, which should be a great thing. But instead of actually talking about policy or having just a civil discussion about anything, they just spent the whole time insulting each other and assaulting each other's party and each other's beliefs. And you know, Chris from Vlogging Through History, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know of him. I assume you don't
Yeah, I
know
mean,
him.
we
But
talked a couple. I think we talked a
really,
couple of times.
that's
But
awesome.
yeah,
But
not yeah.
the point is, he says all the time we need to be able to disagree passionately, fiercely, but respectfully. And especially amongst our politicians, that's something that's disappeared.
But yeah, and so I never seen that Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis debate.
Mhm.
But it,
It's not worth
when
watching.
I saw Gavin, yeah, when I saw Gavin Newsom, he has a podcast. I think it's called
Mhm.
"This Is Gavin Newsom." His
Yeah.
first podcast episode with Charlie Kirk, and I thought it was amazing.
I thought that was actually
But
a
I don't
really
know
good
what.
discussion.
Yeah, they also had some. They went back and forth a couple of times, but they didn't like really insult each other. They were
And that's
just
fine. You can go
playful fun.
back
It's
and
just
forth.
banter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I just yeah.
I think part of that is Charlie. And I don't agree with Charlie Kirk on everything, but most of the time he was very respectful. He was very kind. He was very honest. He was
Hmm.
very good, right? So even though I disagreed with him on a lot of what he was saying, I respected him for the fact that he was open in communication with people he disagreed with, and he was basically saying to them, "Come change my mind." You know, he knew they weren't going to change his mind, but he was offering them a chance, a respectful and honest chance. And that's what we need more of. We need more of those honest, civil discussions in between people, in between normal people, in between politicians, in between commentators. That's definitely something Charlie believed in, and something I think, in honor of Charlie, we all should start doing and having more.
Oh yeah, and like I said, that's why I started my new organization.
Mhm.
I want to bridge that gap that we have. Um, I could I can even do something similar like that. Get someone like I'm not gonna get a part two of Gavin Newsom, Ron DeSantis, but get two people on the opposite sides just openly debate. I might actually check out that video if you want to send it to me after this.
Yeah, I will.
I want to see their formatting they use so I can learn from their mistakes and make sure I don't have two people fighting each other. I don't even know how I imagine they just randomly fight each other. Like they just start insulting each other. How am I supposed like guys, come on, we're gonna have to end the this discussion this debate we're having because you guys are attacking each other. But I would look at I would definitely check out their format and see how they structured it so I can not make sure that I don't have that. But I when he first said that, I thought they had an honest debate, but then he said like no,
No.
they were just insulting each other about policies and stuff. But I think that's a good idea, but it was the way how
It
they
is a good
executed it
idea.
that didn't
It's a
work
good
out.
idea, and I definitely think there are people on both sides that would be very good at that. For instance, I think Senator Sanders would be very good at that, at just having a good discussion with someone he disagrees with. I think Senator Paul would be very good at that from Kentucky. He's a Republican. I think he would be very good at
Hmm.
that because, and I don't mean to necessarily take a jab at some of these more aggressive politicians, but people I think who would be good at that are people who I think are very open-minded. I think a lot of politicians, by not only fault of their own, have become so closed-minded into what is right, what we have to fight for, what is our moral legislative truth, that they don't have open-mindedness. So when someone disagrees with them, they just go ballistic. It
Yeah.
makes me think of a quote by William F. Buckley, and because he was Buckley, he was talking about liberals, but it's something I think both sides are definitely guilty of. But he says, paraphrasing, liberals tend to say they stick up for speaking rights and everybody's opinion, but then are shocked to see that people have disagreeing opinions.
Hmm.
There's definitely a lack of open-mindedness amongst a lot of people in politics and even just normal people today in America and in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, both sides do it. I don't. When
Mhm.
people point fingers and say this side does it, dude, your side does it too, buddy. It's proven. Go on Twitter, go on whatever the hell else. But man, Twitter is the political battleground now. That is instead of actually debating in person, they just go on Twitter or whatever the hell else and just attack the other side. And they forget that we're both human beings. We're
Definitely.
both part of the United States, and we're supposed to be working together, not fighting each other. And I think that can be for everyone in the world. Actually, like both, like yeah, we're all humans, guys. That's not, you know, why are we going to war? Why are we doing this? I just think people in the United States fail to see that, and they're just. I don't know why. I think it's a level of ignorancy that they
Yes,
just don't, or just being arrogant. They don't want to, have an honest debate. Yeah, it really sucks, dude. But I hope you're going out whenever you get out of high school. Um, partake. Are you gonna go into politics?
in my current kind of life plan, I'm going to go to college to be a social studies teacher. I want to teach American
Hmm.
history in high school. Um,
That's
when
good.
I'm in college, and even as I'm a teacher, I hopefully plan to work some local campaigns around me, organize and
Hmm.
volunteer and whatever, just to help out with. And when I do that, when I get into that, I don't plan to necessarily volunteer for Republicans or plan to necessarily volunteer for Democrats. I plan to volunteer for the people I think are right, the people I respect the
Yeah.
most, even if I disagree with them. And I would even open myself to the possibility of, you know what, I may not vote for this person because of the disagreements I have, but I think they're the more respectful person. I think they're the more intelligent, the more honest, the more genuinely good human. So I am definitely going to, um, I would definitely consider working for that person. So I plan to have to teach for a while because I think also people forget this. People like you and me sometimes that do care a lot about politics in the world and trying to make a positive impact. You don't have to be a politician to change things. You don't have to be a politician to help people out. My dad, for instance, my father, he's an addiction therapist. And I would probably go as far as to say that my father is solely responsible for saving more lives than the majority of congressmen on Capitol Hill, right? I think people oftentimes forget that we can really make positive impacts without going into these and searching for these high offices. So I want to be a teacher. And then depending how things are going, I may look into state politics, local politics, but that's about as far as I think I'll ever go.
I think state and local politics are a thing a lot of newly people get into politics like you and me, but obviously we see it. They forget how important it is to start locally. Attend your city council meetings. Speak at
Yes.
a city council meeting. I haven't done that yet, but I look forward to doing it maybe next year because a lot of my council meetings on Christmas break, and I'm assuming yours is too. But I don't know. Do you attend city council meetings,
I don't currently, and part
or
of it's
do you
because
have some?
we do, and but part of the reason I don't attend them is because I don't technically live in the city, right? So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it's that if I should really be there because they aren't my parents' tax dollars. School board meetings, I don't
Mm-hmm.
attend school board meetings, but my mom does often because those are still her tax dollars.
That's good.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think starting with the state level, local level, it's really important that you start there. And
Mhm.
I think people fail to see that. You want to start locally. You build your name recognition. You help people out. You show that you can help out your local community. Move on to state politics. I don't know. Run for alderman, or alderman would be local level. Run for alderman. Alderman, not a lot. Low turnout, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Low turnout. Um, you can start there. You can go to state politics, state senate, lower chamber of Congress is what I mean. Like me, for example, Illinois House of Representatives, you can run in there, and then you can, move up to whatever position. Even people just serve in state politics forever. My state senator, Steve Stottleman, I think he's been at it since 2012, 2011, around there.
Yeah.
He's been in Congress for 14
Excuse me.
years, and he's just yeah. And he just stays there. I think he doesn't want to move up because he just wants to help his local community, and he just thinks it's better for him to stay there. And even my mayor, he hasn't talked about. He doesn't want to do higher office. Maybe his mind might change, but he believes that he's best suited for the community in Illinois, in my city. Yeah.
I think that's a very honorable thing because I think there's a lot of people who do get into state politics. It's because they want to go somewhere else and they just see it as this is a stepping stone. This is the ladder I have to climb. I think it's very noble of someone just to take a pretty low state level because they believe they can make an
Hmm.
impact there for the people who are around them and who just stay there and do the best they can in that position. Um, you know, you said something about low turnout in local elections. I was talking to a friend who lives in Toronto, in Canada, and obviously politics are different in
Hmm.
Canada than they are here. But I
Yeah.
was talking to them about voting and whatnot, and I said, in a pretty small city slash town like mine, whoever wins a local election is basically whoever just knocks on the most doors. And that's
Hmm.
partial. There is some partial good to that because politicians definitely should be speaking to individual people when they have the time to understand individual people, to understand what they need, and to see the common needs of the populace. But there's also a layer of that's kind of
Yeah.
sad that whoever that the winner is just the person who meets the most people.
Yeah, and like you said, there's good in meeting people because that's what you should be doing. Hello? Yo, dude, you left me hanging here, dude.
Sorry, man.
It's still recording, so I don't remember what we were talking about.
Um,
Turnout or something.
I think it
Alderman,
was
I don't know.
about local elections and their importance, something like that.
Well, um, I just want to say this before I wrap it up. Yeah, I just think people attending city council meetings is one of the first steps to getting involved with politics. You know,
Definitely.
I mean, some billionaires can jump straight into politics like Donald Trump did, Ross Perot. But I think if you really want to, if you're like a middle class person or low income person or even high income, I think everyone should learn politics firsthand and local government, what the mayor does, what aldermen do, state senators,
Certainly.
state house. Yeah,
Certainly.
I think that's the level you got to start at.
I mean, I
If
think
you,
there's a
if
lot of people in the United States who can't even name their own governor, and I think that's a sad thing.
yeah, my parents knew. I think my parents can name the mayor, but they can't name my senators. So it's like,
Mhm.
it's interesting. I guess one of my parents can't name a lot of the local elected officials, but that's why I'm gonna invite them out to TY my Take Your Stand event that's gonna come out. So just invite my parents so they can get involved.
Yeah,
But
that'd be awesome.
yeah. Anything else? Anything else you got that you want to talk about, or are we
Not
here?
super. I think everything that kind of fits into this conversation we already talked about, and we talked about
Mm-hmm.
very thoroughly. Um, yeah, I mean, we didn't talk that much about politics itself, just about the system, which I think is a
Mm-hmm.
good thing. I think that's something people forget about because they spend so much time talking about what they believe in and their policies and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, what about the system? What about
Mm-hmm.
how people actually care about and how they vote and how people are treating each other because of it? That's something we forget about a lot.
Yeah, and I hope that people watching this take our advice and
Hmm.
you know treat don't treat. I think a lot people. I mean, a majority of people treat politics as a weapon. I think we
Yes.
need to work together. That's one of the first steps, and get involved with your community if you haven't already. If you're already doing that, great, keep doing that. It's the first step, I would say, in my opinion. Helmer's steps to get involved in politics.
Helmer
First one, attend your
steps.
city council. Yeah. First step is to attend your city council meeting. Get to know your mayor. Aldermen out there, you could probably shake their hands, meet them, ask what they do, ask their name, meet your mayor. I did a Zoom call with, or not a Zoom call, but some virtual meeting with my mayor. I've met some aldermen. I haven't met my alderman or a alderwoman, I think, but that's the first step. I think people
Yes.
should do that.
And I think there
Um,
people should put more importance on working and volunteering on like campaigns and stuff.
hmm
Especially if it's someone you believe that should be elected or someone you just really trust and enjoy and you like that person. I think people don't realize how much good they can do from volunteering. Because if you truly believe someone's going to be good for your community, for your state, for your country, whatever, then the biggest impact you can have is by volunteering, helping them out whatever way you can. And that's also a great
yeah,
step in the door to actually getting into politics as well. Not to
yeah,
take away from your suggestion of the local steps, I think people should do both because a lot of people do have the time to do both. Instead of doing that, they just sit around and do whatever.
like you said, they look at the ballot, vote
Yes.
Republican, or just
Mhm.
vote all Democrat. That's what they do.
Some crazy
But when it
people
comes,
vote for a third party.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, even without knowing what they do, or I'm
Yes.
assuming when it comes to third party, a lot of more people know what they
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
Um,
But they're just
but
protest voting, really.
yeah, even
Yeah.
a lot of people, when it comes to the primary, that's where you really have to know who these people are. I
Yes.
mean, I want to say this before we end it. Darren Bailey, he ran for against JB Pritzker in 2022. He's running in 2026 now. I believe I with certainty that he's going to win the primary because a lot of voters already know his name. But the major thing that he has is that he lost in the first place. So when people see like this guy lost this election, why vote him again?
Mhm.
But the name recognition is what he has, and I think the name recognition plays a huge role in these. I mean, in Illinois, a lot of these people, they don't have the name recognition because people don't look into politics. They don't engage in it. They just vote whomever was in the last election or whatever.
And I'm not saying necessarily
Yeah.
that your life has to be all about politics. Of course not. There are so many more important things than politics. But don't let the more important things about life get in the way of being educated. Because I still think
Hmm.
you have a duty to make the right choice. Your vote is your privilege and it's your duty. I think a lot of people kind of just either half-ass it or throw it away, and it's really
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah. I just again, local politics guys, you need to get involved. Like Noah, you said, get involved with their campaign, the guy that you support. Get to know them. I met some dude that's running for House of Congress in my area. I met him. He's a decent guy. I haven't met the current House, my current House representative, Eric Sorensen. I haven't met him. So he's obviously more, I wouldn't say famous, for lack of a better term, I guess famous. So it's harder to reach out to him. But
A little more
yeah,
well-known, a little more busy.
yeah. So that would be meet these dudes, look at their events, see when you can go on this, and if you can't drive, get someone that you know that can drive to get you there. Maybe even get them involved with politics too.
You
But
know,
again, like you said, it's not all politics, but I think we should. I think civic engagement is one of the most important things you could do for your community.
a lot of people forget too that even though it's not going to be them, it's going to be a staffer who picks up. You can call your representative, you can call your senator, you can call your governor, you can give their staffer your opinions, your troubles, your
Hmm.
feelings, and if you're lucky enough, it'll get passed on to your representative, senator, governor, whatever. And that's another thing, and I think that's something people forget about too. The most powerful position in America is the private citizen, right?
Yes.
And that's something I talk that's something I think about when I say something like people need to be educated and make the right vote. And I'm not saying that that means you have to vote Democrat, you have to vote Republican, and if you vote either or, you're uneducated. And but I want wish more people were completely sure and completely knowing when they cast their ballot. And
Hmm.
a national election, a state election, a local election, a high school class officer election. Just
Yeah.
make sure you know what you're doing.
And I forgot the site. It was some, dang it. It was some ballot thing where if you just go on Google, type in find my representative, I probably first link, you can see who your representatives are. Make sure you put your address in because if you just put your city, it's not going to know what alderman you have. But those are one of the things people could do to find your representative, or you could just first step. I would say the first step, register the vote. Okay, that's yeah. And
No,
if you're not,
certainly.
if you're under 18, 10 city council meeting. Like I said, I'm gonna keep saying that. Really get that into people's brains. 10-year city council meeting. Meet these people. Yeah,
Hands down.
yeah. But Noah, I appreciate you.
I've really
Uh,
enjoyed this. I want to thank you
yeah,
once again for giving me this chance to come on your podcast.
Yeah. I just thought it's really important to get people a voice. You know,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, if you ever want to come on again in the future, seats open, dude. I'll get you back in.
I would love that. Yeah, we can talk about
maybe like
anything
2 years
anytime.
from now. I don't know.
Yeah.
1 year from now,
Whatever.
next year. But yeah, appreciate it, dude.